Tomas Jirousek is the first First Nations valedictorian ever named at McGill University, a feat and an honor he does not take lightly, calling on his fellow graduates to come together and fight systemic racism.
The world needs McGill graduates who are willing and able to challenge systemic racism and other forms of oppression that persevere in our communities today.
Tomas is joining us this morning from Whitehorse. Good to see you there. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, and congratulations. You know, you are the first student with status to receive this honor, being named valedictorian. Why is that so significant?
There's a lot of feeling when reflecting on that statement, in that, you know, we think about the Indian Act and the place of Indigenous peoples at McGill. And several decades ago, an Indigenous person like myself, a First Nations person with status, wouldn't have been allowed to go to McGill without losing their status. And so it's not that long ago that McGill didn't even have First Nations students who were status. And now we have a First Nations valedictorian. And I think that's a powerful statement on how far we've come. I think it's a sad statement in that McGill's going on its third century and we've only had our first First Nations valedictorian. But nonetheless, I think it's still an opportunity to celebrate.
Tomas, your hard work for campaigning for Indigenous people and rights led in part to this fight to change the university sports team's name. They were called the Redman. Tell me why this was an important fight for you.
Absolutely. So during my time at McGill, I was fortunate enough to be on the varsity rowing team. And that was, you know, one of the greatest honors of my time at being at McGill. They really were my family, my teammates. I couldn't imagine going through McGill, my undergraduate, without being on the rowing team. And it broke my heart to know that the Redman name was so powerful in isolating Indigenous students that many Indigenous students didn't feel comfortable going into McGill athletics. Many Indigenous students didn't feel comfortable trying out for a varsity level team. And that just shatters you, that just crushes you when you think about how much I relied on varsity athletics, how proud I was to represent McGill. And that's a large part of the reason why I chose to challenge the Redman name.
That must have created a real sense of conflict within you. On one hand, you are rowing alongside these brothers, people who feel like family to you, and at the same time, looking at your ancestral heritage and feeling like it's not being honored.
Exactly. And that was, you know, a difficult personal dialogue sometimes with coaches, teammates, to see how other people around me felt about the name. I was lucky enough in that rowing, we obviously need a larger body of water to be able to practice. And so we weren't in the central athletics facilities. And so, you know, I could go to practice and I wouldn't be reminded of the Redman name the same way other sports would. I wouldn't have to see the Redman banners or Redman football, Redman hockey when I walked into my venue at the Olympic Basin. And so there wasn't that constant reminder the same way other sports would. So I was quite fortunate in that regard. But nonetheless, when you go through, you know, older McGill yearbooks, you would still see the pictures. And it wasn't just the Redman name. Right. But prior to being known as the McGill Redmen, McGill was known as the McGill Indians. And then you look at the women's side and it was actually the McGill Squaws. You know, those are such terrible slurs to describe Indigenous peoples. And this name had been connected to something so much deeper than, you know, the word itself, but rooted in the history of isolating.
Tomas, we are going to have to end our conversation there because of the time. I can't wait to bring you back and have some more. Congratulations. We'll see you at U of T in the fall.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.